Howdy, Riffers. This is David Sanchez, and this is episode 63 of the Riffs Or Die Podcast for Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. Thanks a lot for joining me, friends. Make sure you guys hit up riffsordie.com this week. We got everything in the store on sale right now for 10% off. Ooh, that's nice. I like that. And if you want to join me for the next Patreon exclusive Zoom hangout, we're going to be doing it later this month. You got to go to patreon.com/riffsordie and sign up at the $10 level or higher. As always, feel free to shoot me an email with any questions or comments for the show at podcast@riffsordie.com and rate this thing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is that you are listening to this. Maybe you're even listening to this on YouTube. And if you're doing that, I want you to smash that like button. Subscribe to the podcast and share it around. Everybody could benefit from a few riffs here or there. Well, we've got some bad news, everyone. It looks like the state of New York and the state of California have announced that they are going to drop their mask mandates for indoor settings.
We are all gonna die!
Yes, we are all gonna die. That is true. But I don't think it's going to be true just because we were not all wearing a muzzle. Well, you can all rest easy knowing that in California, at least, only the people that took the experimental injection will be able to show their smiling faces and able to breathe through their holes on their face, unobstructed. So thank God for that. The narrative is collapsing. It keeps on happening more and more every week. In fact, in Alberta, they just announced that they have dropped all mandates, all requirements, all of the Vax Pass stuff, which is beautiful. And Saskatchewan, up in Canada as well, also announced that they will be dropping all mandates on Monday. So we still have some people hanging on to this lie and the narrative by their fingernails. People like Justin Trudeau up in Canada, in Ottawa, who is very terrified of honking horns. Is all that honking annoying? Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. You know what's more annoying than honking? Losing your freedoms! Now, you can call me crazy, but in my opinion, I think honking is far less annoying than inching closer and closer to slavery and servitude. Just my 2 cents. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. But I gotta tell you, I'm pretty happy with the turn of events we're starting to see. Now, even the talking heads on places like CNN, their medical experts, are saying that, if you want to wear a mask, it's really going to protect you, but we don't need to have everyone wearing a mask. Really? Because that's what we've been saying for, the last 2 years or so. Now all of a sudden, that's your talking point. Funny how that happens right when we have midterm elections coming up. Now all of a sudden, the left wants to be pro-choice. Proper pro-choice and bodily autonomy. The facade is very easy to see. Their whole scheme here is so thinly veiled. It's embarrassing, honestly. But we all know the left has lost its mind, in this country at least. And, a lot of people would call me a conservative for saying such a thing. But let's be real, the left and the right are two wings of the same corrupt bird. Both parties are being run by essentially the same people. They're both interested in corporatism, borderline fascism, borderline communism. They're both interested in printing more money. They're both interested in war. They're both interested in taxation, making you a slave through taxation. They're both interested in keeping and expanding their own power wherever possible and enriching themselves while screwing you over. That's nothing new. So let's just get the record straight here. I would not consider myself a conservative, but a lot of the conservative people, at least in the U.S. right now, are making a hell of a lot more sense than people on the other side of the fence. Does that make me a racist, homophobic, xenophobic, transphobic, Nazi sympathizer, Trump supporter? Maybe in the eyes of some, but those people's opinion on that specific subject mean less to me than a used wad of toilet paper. Now, have they given up some of this fight, some of this tyranny because of the truckers up in Canada? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure, but I do find it very interesting that we have midterm elections coming up and all of a sudden they're loosening things up, relaxing things, making everyone at ease and, hey, look, we're not so bad, we're pretty cool. Vote for us. It's pretty grotesque. But even a broken clock is right twice a day, so I'll take it. If these people are finally starting to come out with common sense policies, I'm all for it. I don't care what your party affiliation is. I don't care how you vote. I don't care what you think. Just leave people the fuck alone. If they're not harming other people or infringing on the rights of other people, sorry, it's none of your business. Leave that person alone. Live and let live. Golden rule is the one thing that all these major religions have in common. And the golden rule is something that has not been practiced, especially by political leaders. It's rules for thee, but not for me. The golden rule says to treat others as you would like to be treated. But they don't do that. They treat you like you're a slave, like you're subhuman scum, like you're an animal. But they can get away with whatever they want. Why is that? Is that because they believe in the golden rule? Or is that because they view themselves as superior to you? Like you're the peasant, you're the slave, you're the serf, and they are your quote-unquote masters. I thought they were supposed to be serving the people. But as usual, throughout all of history, the vast majority don't serve the people, they serve themselves. So my question for everyone listening is, now that they're loosening things up and giving you a little bit of your freedom back, what will you do when they try to take it away from you again? Are you going to accept these eased up restrictions here and have a good time, and then when they crack the whip and try to lock it all down again, go along with it? Or are you going to stand free and stand on the side that is against authoritarianism and tyranny? What will you do? That's the big question. They're loosening things up right now, and if they bring the hammer down again, are you just going to go along with it, or are you going to finally put your foot down and say, no, fuck you, we're not doing this again? It'll be interesting to see what happens, because as we've seen time and time again, and this is tried and true throughout history, the way they psychologically fuck with people is they will tighten the grip in the name of security or whatever boogeyman they have today, reduce your liberties, reduce your freedoms, and then just as you've almost reached your breaking point, they'll ease it up a little bit and back off. And you go, oh, whew, geez, glad that's over. And then what do? They ramp up the fear. They ramp up the restrictions. They ramp up the tyranny. They tighten the grip even more. And then they do it again. They'll do that for a while till you're just about to snap and then ease it up, back off, make you go again. Whew, oh man, that was crazy. They eased it up a second time, so, they probably won't do that again. Oh shit, they're doing it again. Oh! This is how they psychologically damage people. This is how psychoses are bred. So even though we have these victories happening right now, I fully anticipate some bullshit coming again soon. Because these people don't just give up. There's going to be something. There's going to be something. You got the leader of the World Economic Forum, Mr. Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab, talking about how there's going to be a cyber pandemic that will make people long for the days of COVID-19. We have that to look forward to, friends. They're going to keep screwing with us. So fully expect it. And then if it doesn't happen, great. Love that. But if it does happen, at least you can shrug your shoulders and roll your eyes and be like, all right, here we go again. Not be caught off guard. But all that being said, the good news is good news for right now. Just don't forget who these people are. If you live in a town that's very authoritarian and pro-tyranny right now, but then you got a town just a few minutes away that's wide open and free as can be, maybe you should think about voting out the people that are in power when you get the chance. And if you don't believe in voting, that's fine too. You could always move. Get the fuck out of there. There's not many situations where someone is forcing your hand into living in a specific place. Of course, the authoritarians would like that to happen sooner than later, but at the moment, they don't control your life that much. They will if we allow it. So that's the lesson here. Don't let them take any more ground. Because you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. That's how these people operate. And freedom lost is very, very rarely ever given back. I do think it's really funny, too, that there's some of these places that are opening up. Got places like Sweden, Denmark, Norway, certain provinces in Canada like Saskatchewan, Alberta. Got places like Florida, Texas, etc. And then on the other hand, you have places that are tightening the grip even more and being even more crazy and ridiculous. Places like New Zealand, Canada, Germany, Austria, certain places in the US. But I thought the science was settled. I thought this was science and we need to trust the science and listen to the experts. Well, the experts don't even agree with each other. So should we be thinking for ourselves or should we be following the experts? But not these ones over here, just these ones over here. But not those specific ones that are over here, just these ones right over there that are inside of this group that we told you should listen. It's a joke. When are people going to realize that they're being fucking played? It's okay to admit that you got conned. It's okay to admit that you got fooled. The sooner people make that realization, like, hey, I got screwed over, I got played, they really got the best of me. The sooner that happens, the much better off we're going to be. Now, going back to what I'm saying, you have videos of people that work and are spokespeople for the WHO, the World Health Organization. They are saying that children don't need boosters. Children should not be getting a third injection of this experimental shot. And then at the very same time, you have the CDC and people like Fauci saying that, yes, children definitely should be getting these things. Well, hold on. I thought the science was settled. Is the science settled or is it not? Or could it be that this is all about propaganda and control and not actually about science and health? I'm not sure. Wait a second. Yes, I am. I am sure. It's not about health. It's not about science. It's not about protecting people. This is about control. This is about money, control, power, slavery, tyranny, censorship, oppression. That's what this is really all about. And for the people that don't even sense a hint of that being the case, I don't know what it's going to take. I actually feel kind of sorry for people that still believe this lie. It must be hard to have this much conflicting and controversial information entering your ears and your brain occasionally. It's got to be challenging. But, throwing up your hands and surrendering to the fact that maybe you got played could possibly alleviate a lot of your stresses and tensions, could alleviate some of that cognitive dissonance. It's okay to admit that you got had. You got taken for a ride. The only thing that would prevent you from admitting such a thing is ego. Ego is a huge enemy of happiness, gratitude, open-mindedness, and acceptance. Ego is the enemy. That's a big reason that I'm such a big proponent of psychedelics. Psychedelics do a great job of dissolving your ego and putting your ego in check. Keeping your ego in check is a very, very good thing to do that would benefit millions of people if substances like this were legalized. But you know what? The government's not really interested in legalizing substances like that. They're more interested in spending $30 million to give out free crack pipes to people. What? What are we doing? You know, it's not you and I, but the people that are making some of these decisions are out of their goddamn minds. $30 million? That's a lot of crack pipes, my friend. And who's paying for those quote-unquote free crack pipes? How did the government get that $30 million that they can buy these crack pipes with? Oh, yes, it was extorted from you, the working people. A lot of people say taxation is theft, but that's not true. It's not merely theft, it's extortion. Because a thief would just take your shit and run away, and you would be robbed, and that's kind of that. That's the end of the story. Taxation is not merely theft. It's extortion because it is theft with the threat of violence. It is theft with threats to back it up. Straight up mafia tactic. Give us the money or we're going to break your fucking legs. Give us the taxes or we're going to throw you in a cage like an animal. This is how they're using our hard-earned money. And this is why I say that through federal income taxes, we are all about a third slave in America. Some people less than others, some people more than others. But the fact that they can extort about a third of your earnings from you to go and buy crack pipes to give away to people pretty much sums up how fucked this whole thing is. Now, what will people do about it? I'm not sure. A lot of people say the system is broken, but I don't think the system's broken. It's working exactly as it was intended to work. The corruption goes very, very deep, and it's at the highest levels. Not an easy thing to change. So what can we do? Personally, I'd like to get off of the grid. I'd like to have my own water supply, my own food supply, my own energy supply, and rely on the system as little as possible. That's my long-term goal. I've got a ways to go until I get there, but that's the plan. I would like to participate in this system as little as possible. That's a solution. Is it a perfect solution? No. Would it be better than the current system that we are subjugated by and subjected to? I would vote yes. But what else can we do? We know that Congress in the United States is extremely corrupt. And it's funny, there's no term limits for people in Congress. People complain about how Congress sucks and how it's so bad, and then they'll just keep voting in the same people that have been there for 30 years. Congress is terrible, just not my congressman. My representatives are great. It's all the other ones that are the problem. Yeah, that's how it works. The fact that people like Nancy Pelosi can be in office for this long should be illegal. That should not be the case. We need term limits. And we need to limit the amount of money that the federal government is able to spend. There is something going on in this country that can aid in that freedom-minded progress. It's called the Convention of States. The Convention of States' goal is to limit federal spending and to limit federal power. And recently, I saw that the state of Wisconsin has officially accepted the Convention of States. And there was another one, I can't remember where, but maybe it was Minnesota or something like that. But there's 16, 17, 18, something like that, states that are on board with this idea. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, go to conventionofstates.com and sign the petition. The more people that sign this petition, the faster we may be able to get the federal government under control. They're supposed to be working for us. The rules are supposed to come from the bottom up, not from the top down. Everything is inverted and upside down right now in this country and in a lot of places in the world. But there are some things that we can do to start turning the tide. So if you haven't done it already, go to conventionofstates.com and sign the petition. I'll have the link for that in the description of this episode to make it real easy for you. Boy, oh boy, it's an exciting time to be alive. Am I right or am I right? Never a dull moment. Always a lot of craziness happening all at once. Good stuff. Bad stuff. You got to take the good with the bad. Always keep in mind the things that you can control and the things you cannot control. The things you have no control over, you just got to sever that tie and let that shit loose. Don't carry that baggage with you. Don't carry that weight on your shoulders. And then the things that you can control, do your very best with them. That's Stoic philosophy in a nutshell. The essence of Stoicism is to inventory the good and the bad, cut out the bad, keep the good, focus on the good, and be grateful. Gratitude equals happiness. The more grateful you are, the more happy you're going to be. That is a fact of life. And I gotta say, I'm very grateful that things are starting to open up. Again, I can't stress how cool that is. It's hilarious being on the side that's been saying this stuff for 2 years. And now all the experts have done a full 180 and they're agreeing with the pro-freedom side that was calling all this stuff nonsense from the beginning. Can I be mad at that? Yes. Am I? No, not really. I think it's more funny than anything. I see some of these clips of these experts and politicians and stuff saying this stuff, and it literally makes me laugh out loud. Like, you dumb motherfuckers. 2 years too late. Now you have common sense all of a sudden? Like, I'm glad that you're here. Welcome to the party. Better late than never, but goddamn, you were out there looking like a complete moron for a long time. And being the ultimate arbiters of misinformation. But what can you do? Laugh it off. I'm glad to have these people on the right side now. Freedom, even if it's unpopular at the time in some circles, freedom never goes out of style. And if you agree with that notion, you have to do your best to light brush fires in the minds of men and women and zimzers. Brush fires of freedom. Talk about it. Embody it. Be an example. Courage is contagious. And we need the seeds of liberty to be planted as often as possible. We need that. I can't express in words how angry and sad it makes me that all these children have been manipulated, psychologically, mentally damaged, abused by all of the lockdowns and the mask stuff and all of this nonsense. These kids are going to be fucked up for the rest of their life. Growing up, not being able to see people's mouths. This is real shit. They've seen that kids that were born in pandemic time, their IQ points are about 25, I think. 20 plus IQ points lower than average. These kids have been damaged not only emotionally and psychologically, but intellectually. We, as an entire society, are going to feel the effects of this for generations to come. And when this stuff does go away and some of these mandates drop more and more and more and more freedom starts coming in, we cannot just go back to normal and act like, oh, yay, we got our stuff back. Woo, glad that's over. Fuck that. These people need to pay. The people that were responsible for this stuff, for all of this damage, all of these suicides, all of these overdoses, all of this manipulation, coercion, and irreparable damage to society, they need to pay. We need Nuremberg Trials 2.0. That's what I'm talking about. We need justice for this. We don't need to just go right back to normal. These people that orchestrated and allowed for this stuff to all go through, all this damage to be done, they need to pay. We need to not forget who they are. We need these people to be held accountable for what they've done. You know, someone wrote a song back in 2016 and it was released on a record in 17, a song called Hang 'Em High. There's some applicable lyrics from that song some of you guys listening probably know. As it says in the song many, many, many times, the enemy is not coming from overseas. Your enemies are right there. They are your fellow countrymen. They want you to be oppressed. They want you to have reduced liberty. They're homegrown. You want to talk about domestic terrorism? Why don't you start up there? In some of these government buildings where people are kicking up their $1,000 loafers on a government desk. Start looking there first before you start looking at your redneck buddies. They keep us all distracted. They keep us all fighting with each other on what they would consider the lower tiers of society. They keep us at each other's throats. Why do they do that? Because then we won't come together and realize that we have common enemies. Nothing scares the establishment more than people coming together and realizing that they have common goals and common enemies, and that regular people should not be fighting with each other, but they should instead be hand in hand going after their common enemies. That terrifies these people. These people who consider themselves elite are not elite. They are elitists, but they are some of the most vile scum on the face of the earth. Funny thing is, that's the way they view you as well. But here's the thing. There's a lot more of us than there are of them. So let's stop fighting with each other and get on the same page. And consider going after these people that are actually our real enemies. These people that are sowing the seeds of hate and division. The people that are would-be authoritarians. The people that wish to rule over you, not live alongside you. Let's get together and start taking back our lives, taking back our freedom. Let's get together and go after common goals that everyone can get behind. The only ones that won't be getting behind it are the people that want a one world government, a cashless society, a biosecurity state, perpetual fear, endless war, debt slavery, and the list goes on and on. Let's stop calling each other out and start calling out these people that are actually causing the problems. It's a beautiful day to be alive. Well, there's some of the good news for the week. I'm feeling great. My musical suggestion to you all for this week is a band called Enforced. I just got turned on to them this week, and they sound kind of like power trip, Slayer, hardcore, and thrash metal, all mixed together. Really cool band, a lot of really sick riffs, and check them out. I haven't listened to anything other than their newest record, so I don't know what their older stuff sounds like, but that new record's sick. Check them out, Enforced. I will have a link to the band in the description below. So check that out, especially if you're craving some heavy, heavy riffage. I'll be back again next week. I would love to answer some of y'all's questions. So if you have any questions or comments for the show, please send them over to me. podcast@riffsordie.com. Don't forget to head over to riffsordie.com because everything in the store is still 10% off right now. And if you want to be able to join me for the next Zoom hangout, you got to go to patreon.com/riffsordie and sign up at the $10 level or higher. We're doing the next Zoom hangout on February 26th. That is a Saturday. If you want to be there and hang out with me in real time, I would love to see you. Just go to Patreon and sign up. If you're listening to this on Spotify, give the podcast a rating, why don't you? I'd really appreciate that. Share this with your family and friends if you liked what you heard. And don't let them grind you down. The truth and liberty are winning. The tides are starting to turn. Let's help them keep turning that direction. Remember, you don't want to be old someday telling your grandchildren that while the authoritarians were trying to seize control and ruin every aspect of human life, you just sat back on the sidelines and watched it all go down. You did nothing to stop it. You did nothing to vocalize your rejection of this tyranny. You don't want to tell them that story. You want to tell them that you did something. You spoke up. You were on the right side of history. You didn't just go along with it. You didn't just bend over and take it. Don't bend the knee. Don't kiss the ring. Fuck these people. Let's be free! We are going to win this. Spread that freedom. Cheers to all of you, Riffers. I'll talk to you next week. Adios.